Ladies and gentlemen, we are live. We are live. We are live. Thank you so much for stopping by. Legends Talk. You guys have been great. The support has been tremendous. So I really appreciate everybody out there stopping in, throwing me a like, a comment, subscribing to the channel, which I really need y'all to do. So go ahead and do that right now while you got some time. But yeah, tonight we got a very special guest. Um, if you ever been to Dyckman in Washington Heights, then you already know what I'm saying, what type of atmosphere that brings, what kind of time that brings, man. It's a special league, and I'm saying it's kind of nestled in the right place. The culture, the atmosphere, everything is just it kind of just aligns. But tonight we got the marketing director, who kind of makes and not only the marketing director, because she kind of does it all over there. Miss Naya Stevens, very special guest. But yeah, we're gonna get into that. So let's get it.
Hi,
Yo,
what's up?
what's up, Nate? How you doing?
I'm good. I have to correct you though. I'm not the marketing director. I'm the media director.
Whatever you are the go-to person. You are, what I'm saying, the visionary, the get the job done. All types of all those hats you wear at any given time. So,
Yeah, I'm
yeah.
aligned. I'm
So
definitely aligned. I'm definitely gonna get the things done.
no,
Um,
that's a fact. That's a
but we
fact.
definitely have another woman who leads on marketing. I want to
Okay,
respect.
okay, yeah. Now, I definitely want to, what I'm saying, get that right. What I'm saying, media director Naya Stevens, everybody. Now, again, I appreciate you for taking the time out. This has been actually maybe a year in the works or something like that. Maybe even longer. I've been hounding you. You were like, yo, check back in August. Check back in September. So now we here. I appreciate you.
You know what's crazy? I thought the whole time you were hitting me up to do this with your chick, not even to do this with me. So
What? Hey, we gotta we I know Dave for a long time, so I definitely got to show that love. But I got to show love to you. You are what I'm saying, you, like I said in my post, you're a visionary. You are Mrs. Get the job done. And ever since day one, that you've been there, what I'm saying, you've always shown love. You've always what I'm saying, been inquisitive in terms of, like, what does everybody do, and what does, how to make this whole thing work. So, whether it be media pass, or just anything that has to deal with Dyckman. I appreciate you from the bottom of my heart for showing me the love, and that actually got me a lot of traction on my page. So, shout out to Dyckman, the entire team over there. Shay's Days. Yeah, I don't even want to. I don't even, Kojo. I don't even want to start naming names because I'm gonna probably miss one or two people. So, shout out to everybody over there. And yeah, let's get right into it, Nay, if you don't mind.
yeah,
So, Naya, man, where you from? You know what I'm saying? And pretty much, how did that environment shape you to be the person that you are today?
um, I'm from Dyckman. I'm from the projects behind the park. Um, I was born and raised here. Kind of a close knit family. I grew up with a lot of cousins and things. Um, and I think I just grew up in a lot of communities. So I think me just growing up with like in community is transferred perfectly to what we do at Dyckman. Just building community and relationships, and you know, all kind of everyone being together and moving forward with one mission. I think that's really, really, really just important for us. You know.
Now that's really dope. How you guys have it like a well-oiled machine at this point. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's kind of clicking on all cylinders. Everybody's doing what they need to do. Sometimes you guys bump heads, like any family does. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But it's at the end of the day, you guys come together like Voltron. I'm kind of aging myself with the Voltron talk, but you guys come together and put together a top notch situation over there, and it's world renowned. So salute to you guys. But
Appreciate that. Thank you.
but Nate, if you don't mind me asking, who gave you that hustle? You know what I'm saying? That tenacity that you have, that to be about your business and to demand respect. You a person that has a uncanny confidence, right? You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna keep it.
What? Uncanny confidence. That's funny.
It's uncanny.
Um,
Who
I
gave
don't
you that?
know. To be honest, I think it just the way I was like raised to always kind of be like confident in myself and believe in myself. I was already an outgoing person. I was like a kid that was always in like camps and things like that. So I always like would start. I feel like a easier way to put it is that I'm starting over often. Like I was always like a new person in a new like at a new situation. And I mean, like anybody, you want to be liked and respected in that situation. And I think, you know, learning that really young, I was just able to maneuver differently than most like 20-year-olds. I think in the game when I first like started doing. Well, I started doing this before then, but I feel like when I started to take this more seriously. Um, and I think I just do a lot of research before I like open my mouth to say anything or really pursue anything. So I think that's where the confidence comes from. I think also if you've met Kenny, right? Kenny's my uncle, right? Like he's a pretty confident man. That's something that runs in the family, I think. But I think the hustle part, it just took like a lot for me to take a lot of L's growing up and just like a lot of knowledge um, to really to get used to falling and like getting back up and starting over. And I think like I know everything that people see at Dyckman is just kind of like always good and all this like really pretty and great branding and marketing, but it's like we fail a lot. We fall a lot, you know what I mean? It's just about what you do after that. And I think once I got accustomed to like, well, if I fail, that means I get a chance to try again, to get the thing that I wanted. I just kept doing that. And I honestly wouldn't even I would never describe myself as a hustler. I feel like it's the first time I've ever talked about myself in that way because people who hustle kind of have like a very non-stop kind of like ethos. That's the way they live their life, and I need a break. Like I like a break. I love a vacation
Right.
sometimes. But I don't know. I never even really define myself as a hustler. I'm not saying I'm not a hustler. I think I absolutely am. But I think I just, like anybody, if I believe in something, right, I'm gonna just see it through to the end. And I think that part, I just learned from just being like it's like being accountable to myself and being accountable to other people. I think I've always been in a position. I always been in some type of leadership role. And even when I wasn't in like a big leadership role, I feel like there are people depending on me, right? Like if I made a commitment to do this, I need to see it through to the end. So, um, yeah, I think that's I probably got it from family. I think I got it from like making my own mistakes, being in, going to like a predominantly white school or college, and just seeing like, damn, like I really do gotta hustle if I'm trying to catch up to other people and or not even catch up to other people, but like white America, I guess. And so that's really where it came from. And I think the confidence is just like by knowing my shit, like I
Right.
think I really wasn't when I first started this. I'd like put a post up on Instagram like last week, just kind of when I really started doing this. I really had no repertoire for basketball really. Like I didn't really know anything about how the game is really played or like really
Right.
basics. But I felt like I knew enough about media that I can bring that here in a like organized way. And so I just studied, both, and now we're here. Like I feel like, you know, even I think I just said to someone like, I can't even believe that I'm like when I talk about basketball and I hear myself doing that, I'm like, I can't even believe I that happened over a decade. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
and have a full conversation about positions and like, rosters and who should go where. And I'm not saying like I'm a coach or anything. I have no like I don't want to do any of those things. But I think like you just put your mind to things and
Of course, of course. You know what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, you get it done.
exactly. That's all.
You said you didn't have any, you know what I'm saying, any prior, basketball knowledge. But, in terms of Kenny being, first and foremost, salute to Kenny, the commissioner over there at Dyckman. But did you like when did you first kind of gravitate to the Dyckman basketball tournament and did you see yourself did you first see yourself kind of in the role that you're in and what I'm saying when well first of all when was it that you kind of were introduced to the tournament and when did you actually like did you see something missing that you can add to it or did you just want to be involved?
Yeah, I mean, I was born in '93. Tournament started in 1990. So of course it was going on my whole childhood. And so I always knew about something happening in the park that my uncle did. But for a long time, like I wasn't really allowed in the park like before maybe like 13 or 14. And then at 14, we all, you get your like first semi yummy job. I think my first job was at Dyckman. And like when I first started working, I just enjoyed the perks, really, right? Like being able to be in a place that was like mixy or whatever. But I went to school in Harlem, and then in high school, I went to Mary Bertram, so all the way downtown. And so people really did not know what Dyckman was still back then. Like they knew, oh, they might have heard of the games if they were into basketball, but they weren't really like into what was happening up here. And so I think when I started working there at 14, I would run into a lot of people that I would see like in high school that played high school basketball or just like in Harlem or whatever. So I really took it as a way where I can like connect with folks and meet more people. And then I don't know. I just felt like to be as big as we was, to be as organized as we were a black business, right? Like, I think even that early on at 14 and 15, I was really already thinking like, damn, we're like a black owned business. We have like this powerhouse of a brand behind us, and we're doing like really cool things. I feel like it needed to be amplified. And I really didn't start taking that serious for a couple years. So like I did the summer youth thing from like 14 to like maybe 17 or 18, and I worked there every summer, and whatever. I think like when you go back to school in the winter or whatever, I will always like brag about what would happen in the summer to get people to come uptown. So I felt like the marketing thing felt very like natural to me. Just kind of like back then, I guess we called it guerrilla marketing, right? Like just
Right.
like word of mouth stuff and telling people about like, oh, we do this like really cool thing uptown. You have to come. And so I used to be mobbing in there all the time with like all of my friends. I had every friend that I had like outside of Dyckman needed a summer youth job. We all had summer youth jobs at Dyckman. It just made seem to make sense to me. That's where everybody is. Like we can get more people to come here, whatever. And then in college, I think when I got to college as a freshman, right, I had like 20 pair of Dyckman basketball shorts. I sold all of those shorts $100 a pop
Mm.
at on Brandeis's campus. And that's when I knew I'm like, oh yeah, this is a thing. Like this is like something this is a real thing. And I remember even then, I'm in college now. I've been working at the tournament maybe 4 years, right? I don't even realize like really what and one is, right? Like, cause even I didn't like use my off time then to watch NBA. You
Right.
know what I mean? It was like we do this thing in the summer. It's a very different from NBA. It's a very different feeling. So I didn't wasn't even really doing research then. I was supposed to be like going to college to be this lawyer, and that's where my head was. And so when I got to on campus and I sold those shorts and people recognized what Dyke basketball was, I'm just like, oh, come on now, like we gotta really amplify. Like we can be, a household name kind of thing. And I think I was always really curious about like, how brands become that, and so I think that's really for me when I started to engage in like in a productive way in the way that y'all see me engage now. It's like now I'm in college, people know what it is, and I'm like, oh, you should come in the summer. I'm bringing people from out of town, And so when summers would come back around, I would be really pumped and excited. But I think like for me, it was still a little resentment because Kenny wouldn't give me a bigger role or a leadership role, and I think he was right in that. I was just young, like I didn't need it then. I have no missions then. I have nothing to do. And didn't know basketball. I really didn't know basketball well enough. But I did like I think like the basketball influence started to rub off on me in high school because I definitely managed the Mary Bertram girls basketball team for a while. So that's the basketball team with Chicken on it, Corey Coleman, Ashley Gomez. Um, like it started to rub off on me a little bit, but more or less because I'm like I could be in a mix if I do basketball. You know what I mean? But when I started to manage teams, I just started to like care about the game more. We fast forward to 18, 19 in college, selling these shorts to people. Any paraphernalia I had with Dyckman on, I was selling.
Right.
It
Like
worked.
yeah, they fly like
You know
hotcakes.
what I mean? Brandeis is in Boston, so it's like if people up here, one of the whitest cities I've ever been to, know
Right.
what Dyckman is, I know if I go anywhere else, people are gonna know what this is, and I just start to be more intentional and think about it. I think sometime around there, like there was a girl who interned for us. Her name is Bareline. She's now like she has her own record label, but previously before her Great Day record, she was the like senior vice president, I think, at Interscope. And so, rewind back to when she was asked me to be intern at Dyckman. It was the first summer I ever missed at Dyckman, which was like what we all look forward to coming home to. And I think it was I want to say 2015 or 2014. She started our like first social media page, which was our Instagram. So I can't even take the credit for starting Instagram because I didn't do that. That was definitely Bareline and Miguel and Kiki. They started the Instagram page. I think that summer she got us 10,000 followers. 10,000 followers, and then she just kind of moved on and did bigger things. And I don't want to say that, but like she wanted to do music, so that was her like avenue into doing like music and things like that. And so when I came back, I was always someone who wanted to be in the media. At this point, I have like a radio show on campus. It's like kind of syndicated because you can stream and stuff.
Right. Right.
And streaming was very new, and I'm like, well, I really wanted to be this like big media personality and star, but it didn't quite fit the way I knew it needed to at Dyckman because I don't know basketball well enough, right? Like, it doesn't fit that way. So I'm just thinking like, how else do we capture what we do here and get it to more people? I met Shay around that time, I think like 2015 and stuff, and I kind of started to tag along to things with Shay and meet people, and people find out who I was, and we would connect. And then I remember coming up with the idea and like kind of talking through it with some of the you know people I met, but mainly me and Shay. Shay's days for anybody watching who's not
Shout
sure.
out to Shay's days.
Um, just like yo, we need like something that's happening at Dyckman, where it's like we can get that footage back, turn it into something like more beautiful, and it should go on Instagram. Because on Instagram at the time, we were like posting like these really fuzzy like photos that people couldn't really tell who it was, or it would have Kenny and Ms. B in it with like these big NBA players. It's like it should not look like that. It should
Right.
look like the replica of ESPN or NBA. And even then they didn't know what they were doing. But I felt like I knew what the vision I had. So I put a team together. I think I can't remember when that first team happened, maybe 2018. So 2018 is a long way from when I first started working there. You know what I mean? So it took a while for the vision to come, right? Like I did a lot of things. Had done brand deals with Kenny. I had done, activations. I think these days we call it experiential. But we had, done activations. We had done, the actual act of taking the thought of like something going on a banner and making it a banner and putting it up. Like I had done all that stuff, and I'm like, this is cool. I like doing this. You know what I mean? But this doesn't feel like my lane necessarily. Like I feel like I couldn't necessarily wrap my head around that the way I could the media stuff. So don't remember how I met Nia. I don't know if she came to the park or I see her somewhere else, but she shot one time, and I remember seeing her photos and being like, that's exactly how I see Dyckman basketball. Like it was just in these like really beautiful colors and really like majestic, you know what I mean? Like the players just really made the players look like, they had purpose on the court, you know what I mean? And I knew that like, okay, we're doing a community thing, but this really impacts a lot of people, you know what I mean? There are other places I go and I see them doing the same things. So the media team starts there, you know what I mean? And she's doing these photos, we're getting them up on social, and it's just working. And then I think I just started putting pieces together from there. I had like Brian, Jeff. I met Kojo sometime around there. He did graphic design. Kojo and Jeff, like two of the greatest shooters I've had ever met at the time. And we just had, whole team. That was the like core team. Like the first iteration of the Dyckman basketball team. And I'm not gonna lie, still probably the greatest team
That's the
to ever
groundbreaking. That's the
give
groundbreaking team right
basketball for
there.
real.
That's the groundbreaking team.
Yeah, like we all just was really passionate about the work that we was doing. And I also seen it as like I'm I think the way I approached it always was just kind of like I can put them on too, right? Like I didn't have money to pay them, but I was also like any opportunity that comes through here, like I'm gonna make sure I, route them y'all way, and like we can do
First,
that in exchange for footage and things, and like, a lot of that footage kind of reached places none of us could really imagine, but I
right,
think that's really how it all started, and it's really a lot of like I don't really know what I'm doing, but I'm gonna move forward anyway. And I just think like for me, it was like I know social better than anybody else on this Dyckman basketball team, and I think that it was it was a lot of me trying to figure that out. Like Kenny knows the basketball stuff, Miss B knows the activation stuff and the partnership stuff. Kiki knew like basketball relations, Miguel knew basketball operations, and I'm like, I don't really know any of that shit, but I
so,
do know
so
that I can make this stuff on Instagram pop,
so
right?
nobody really had to come to you and say, "Hey, we need you to do, media and
Right.
kind of."
It was just like I know I can own this. I know how to do this, and Kenny can stay out of my way in my hair, really. Like, and not in a mean way, but it's also like when if it's a family business, I'm trying to get my stake in a family business, and I'm like, well, how do I contribute? How do I like get a seat at this table, really? Because I really did feel very left out of a lot of things because I wasn't into basketball the way everybody else was. So off season everybody is like feeding to go to Knicks games and like high school basketball games or whatever, and I thought like yeah I can join, but that's not why I'm here. You know what I mean? And when the media thing really started to pop, right? Like I remember about the first year we did it, Kenny really he wasn't really like into it, like whatever, like you and your
right.
shooters stay our way.
Kenny from the before Instagram
Yeah,
time.
but you didn't like, you never want any of this stuff to be recorded at one time when it was
Right,
happening. And I remember maybe there was after that first summer, and I really started to like meet the folks at like the bigger brands like Nike and stuff. And I remember them saying like, "Yo, your stuff, like that page looks so good." And I remember Kenny. There was a time somebody said it to Kenny, and he had to be like, "What fucking page? Like, what are you talking about?" You know what I mean? And it had to be like other people had to be impacted by the work that we were doing on social media for even just the team that we already had at Dyckman to really be like, oh shit, like we have something here. Wait, let's
right,
stop.
right,
Talk to Naya, what we doing? And I think it's the 2019 right before we go, to 2020. It's a pandemic. It was that year I think when it was like, oh shit, like this is really a thing. Like
nah,
this
that's
is
dope.
something we can really like kind of build and make our own and just kind of like be ahead of the game, and I think that's really was my thing. I always, and I'm not gonna lie, like when I was young I was a little more arrogant because I just was like I felt like I went to a
Yeah.
top school. I was just like y'all niggas is not fucking with me, you know what I mean?
there goes
That's really
there
how I
goes
felt about it. I'm just like nope, I'm not fucking with
there
you.
goes a Nate that I know. There goes a Nate
Yeah,
I know.
nah, that's really how I showed up, and that's really authentic. I'm not gonna lie. I just felt like nobody's fucking with me, and I really wasn't impressed by the brands. I wasn't impressed that like somebody was walking in the park offering us 10,000. We was worth 1 million. Then that's how I felt about it, and I took the avenue of media to be like, I know I can make us that mill doing this, and
Right.
I just kept going, and we're still going. You know what I mean? That mill hasn't hit yet, real soon, but I just felt like thank you, grateful for the people who do come in here and see us, but y'all not really giving us what we worth, and I'm gonna turn that around. And I think
At least
we
you
all
know
move
it.
a little differently now.
I mean, that's the confidence that we're talking about, right? That to actually know that your worth and to fight for your worth, and that's something I see you do all the time. So, it's definitely salute to you on that. But like in terms of Dyckman, right? Dyckman is known globally to be the red carpet of street ball, meaning you just never know who is going to pop out to Dyckman. One day, you may have Floyd Mayweather come up. You may have Jim Jones and Fab come up, or and that's just the tip of the iceberg. You guys have had all types of celebrities show up. Are there any that from your memory that you kind of like to work with, and you enjoy when they pop up to Dyckman?
Um, who do I enjoy? I don't know. I feel like when the celebrities pop up and the NBA players, I feel like we just need to go star first, right? Like we have enough national recognition that this person needs to make that stop. But I think for me, I like when the New York guys kind of come. Fab and them come, and all of them come. They it's like they come multiple times in the summer. You know what I mean? Like we all know each other on first name basis. It feels like family, and it feels like I think when people see that, it's like, oh, I know. It also is a signal to other folks at that level, like, oh, I can go to Dyckman. It's somewhere I can be comfortable. I think the very first time Meek came and the park was like rapping that song for however many minutes, that was like an iconic moment for all of us on the ground, but then on social too. That's like one of our first viral moments for real. And so I feel like we never worked with Meek directly, but I feel like anytime he comes, we have a moment like that. And that feels, I love that because it's just like you really get to walk into a black place with all these people who look like you rapping your music. Like it just is a really good feeling. You know what I mean? A warm feeling. And I love that he can get that feeling, outside of his own city. Um, and then I think the second like appearance we had that I think was crazy. I mean, obviously, I think no, we had a couple appearances that were crazy, but the very first Floyd Mayweather one I think is just very like what the like
Right, right. Like
you
what?
just can't really believe something like that's gonna happen. Like, obviously, TMT Showstoppers is in the tournament, so
Right.
we knew it would happen at some point. But I think like him walking in the park, standing courtside, front row with us, comfortable. It's like you really don't get no bigger than this. There's no place in the world you're gonna walk into
And
a
find
park
Floyd, and
for
find
free and get that kind of experience. And I just and again, stuff like that really just reaffirmed to me, re-solidified to me, like we really making magic here. We're really doing things that no one else can do. Not anybody. Like and no, and that's no disrespect to any of our partners, but like even if Nike does it right, like the energy is different. The energy in
Mhm.
the park is different. Like this is in our park is just people showing up for a game. Floyd Mayweather happened to come. You know what I mean? Like this isn't, and I know like people think, oh, y'all not telling us who's coming, blah blah blah. Yeah, we get inklings that people come or people are gonna come, but it's like they actually gotta show up, right?
Right,
You know
right.
what I mean? Like it's still a community thing. We still something that's happening in the hood. You know what I mean? So it's always that thing like maybe they'll come, maybe they won't.
That's
And when
part of
they
the
do
mystique.
come, it's just like, oh yeah. You
That,
know what I
that's
mean? Like this person
part of
needed to be here. So that's one. And then I think the very last one for me is like T Mac coming. Like, yes, maybe I didn't have like all of the basketball knowledge, but everybody fucking know who T Mac is. And him coming in the park, being that comfortable and like, just being that also that warm with the basketball team is just like that is legendary. You know what I mean? Like
that's dope.
Tracy McGrady, like
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's hard to
it
top
just
that.
is like this is not happening nowhere else. Like
Right,
you got branded tournaments happening across the country all the time, and it still is not giving what Dyckman basketball gives. Like I've been on the AAU circuit, I go to all these games. Westbrook can come anytime, LeBron can come anytime, but it ain't Tracy McGrady. You know what I mean? Like it just is to me. I'm just humbled by stuff like that, right? Like we do. I think sometimes the work we do is really thankless. Like people act like this is something that's supposed to happen every summer, and it
right.
doesn't take work. And I think when moments like that happen, that's like the universe saying thank you to me. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't really have one like anybody I really love working with from that realm, but I think like anyone who showed us love is enough for me. Anybody who's come and spent money at Dyckman Basketball and put money in one of the vendors' pockets, or just come and like sign some stuff, or taking pictures with the youth there or whatever, said something on the Dyckman Basketball page, just like that's always been enough for me for real.
Nah, that's dope, man. And when I saw Floyd Mayweather was at the park, that was just ridiculous to me. I was like,
It's
wow.
ridiculous. Like heavyweight champion of the world, Craig. That's
Right. I mean, I done seen what Jadakiss, Baron Davis, you know these guys. I actually these guys are people that you see on TV, and you know what I'm saying, and now they're like right next to you, and they're at Dyckman. Is at Dyckman. So
exactly. Like sometimes we're really like I like really shocked by it. Very like, oh shoot, like this someplace you want it to be. Like, cause
right,
there's other things happening in the city all summer. There's tons of restaurants and concerts and MSG and Barclay. And I think something I'm always reminded, like, it's not Dyckman because people still gonna show up here. You know what I mean? Like 100% had things worked out the way it was supposed to this summer, like I think we would have had Drake there. Drake was in the city 2 weeks
in the
straight.
city,
We
right,
just
right.
couldn't get the park open. It was rain, it was permits, it was whatever it was. And I'm like, I mean, I don't force things like that because I'm like, timing, right? Everything is about timing. So when Drake is supposed to be there, he will. But I feel like had it gone the way we had wanted it to, had planned, had one of the biggest artists in the world in our park, like, I mean,
So
humbling
let me
experience.
let me ask you this, Nate, because we've just named, we just named Drake, we just named T Mac, Jadakiss, Floyd Mayweather, and countless others, right? Do you
Yeah.
ever get starstruck?
Honestly, I don't even really be having time to like Drake. I can't tell y'all what that would happen. Maybe I would have been,
Yeah, I
but
was
I
gonna.
usually don't have time to. I need to handle the moment. Like we need
Right,
to make sure that this aligns with our brand the way we want it to. We need the photo. We need the drop. We need, you know what I mean? Like I think actively I might be like, wow, that really happened. But I'm never starstruck really because I need to say what I need to say. Like we need to get this, you
the
know what I mean? We
business,
need to get it, get it to where we needed to get it to, and we need to make sure Dykeman's gonna get theirs. And I think, like again, we're a community organization, so we never restrict any of the shooters from getting the shot they need or going up to these celebrities. You know what I mean? So it's still like a fight in a while for even Dyckman basketball team. Like we still gotta get what we need. So I don't ever have time to get starstruck. And I think the way I also imagine is like these are people that we're gonna be working with soon. So I try not
right,
to be too like, I give people their love and their props, but let's get to work.
right. I was gonna ask, and you just kind of answered it, but like, what would it take? Like, who would have to walk through those gates for you to be starstruck, other than say a Drake?
Michael Jordan, like a Michael Jordan, like a. I think for me, it's people you do not put in a street ball place, right? So a Michael Jordan, like Michael, it makes sense for him to come to a basketball tournament, but something like a Dyckman and street ball is kind of like that's risky for somebody like Michael Jordan. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right, right, right,
I think like you know, star pop stars and stuff like that, like a Beyonce, a Jay Z, a Rihanna, like
Yeah, that'd be
they
crazy.
walk in might be a little more star. You know what I mean? I think legends like Patrick Ewing. I might be a little starstruck there. Um, but again, like me being starstruck is like not really. I can't really imagine it because I'm strategic. So I'm thinking like, all right, we need to get from point A to point Z, and we got 2 minutes to do it. Like
Right,
I'm really the only person that's probably getting it done right now. So I don't I even if Rihanna walks in the park, I think I'm beelining across the court, making sure we get the photo.
right,
Thanking her so much for coming. I'm getting her jersey. I'm making sure she signs it. Like I think that's really where my head is because above all things, even those people working in the park, it's like Dyckman is above all things for me. That's how I feel about it. Like Dyckman basketball is just like y'all wouldn't be here if it wasn't. And while I'm humbled that something that we put like, blood, sweat, tears into, you're here, enjoying. I just need to, I need to make sure that people remember that you was here and you was here. And that was really the start of the media team. It's like, if we didn't start that media team, I think I was more scared that somebody would come along. I won't mention a brand that did come along and try to do it, but I would say, somebody come along, replicate what you're doing and act like you don't exist. You know what I mean? And so I think I need to be able to make sure I can tell people like that happened. And the media team and cameras are part of that. So
That's a fact. That's
starstruck. It's always gonna probably happen post game for me, for real.
a like after the fact when you're home, like wow, like I can't believe that just happened.
Yeah, that happens often. There's nights where I feel like Shay and I might not even sleep just because we like, I can't believe that fucking happened today. You know what I mean? Like, but I think, we realize we at work. Like, I know for y'all, if everybody else is a good time, and we make it seem like a good time, and I know it doesn't seem like the a certain kind of work, but we're at work. Like, this is work for us, and in a good way. We like it. We enjoy what we do, but it's like we gotta control this narrative and this story, and so we act accordingly.
No, that's a fact. Now, like, it's no secret that you're part of that Game 7 family over there. Shout out to Justin Leonard. Shout out to everybody over there with Nike. Shout out to the whole, that whole team and family over there. How did you link up with them? And what exactly is your role over there? Because I mean, I've seen you a couple times working, and you got your head down. You get into business, and all business at that point. So, what's your role? And yeah,
So at Game 7, I'm a digital project manager, which exactly what I do at Dyckman, I do at Game 7 for a Nike brand, which is House of Hoops. So I manage, their social, you know, produce, manage, create the social media content that comes out off of House of Hoops. Um, which I think like is I'm really also another experience I'm really humbled by because the stuff I do at Dyke, but I do it really out of like love, right? Like I love the stuff I do there. I
right,
show up regardless if I'm being paid or not. And I never thought that those skills would be transferable at a later date. And I think I met Justin Leonard years ago, just kind of us like Game 7 activating at Dyckman on behalf of Nike. And, him and Kenny are very close and, just introductions. And I think he just watched me grow and watch me start to move with more intention and do things, outside of Kenny. Like, Kenny's pretty traditional. Like he does things a certain way. And I think I just came in and was like, well, I'm his niece, so he's gonna let me move a little differently than he might let another person who works here move. And I just took the initiative and, started to do certain things. And I think I want to say I'm not gonna speak for Justin, but I want to say that Justin seen that and was just like, "That's somebody I need on my team."
right,
And I think it aligns exactly, like I think perfectly with what we do at House of Hoops. Like House of Hoops is a kind of a like trying to kind of a budding brand on social, a Nike brand that is trying to kind of like find its footing in like a social world and a content world, and my main job is like to streamline that, to help that happen. And so I have a team that and we create content and things, and it's a little different working on the brand side, just kind of like what you can and can't do. And so it's been a really crazy learning experience for me on that end. And yeah, and so that's what I do there. And I think just at being working at Game 7, period, there's a lot of other things that I'm looped into because I am a basketball person now. So anything basketball in New York City, for the most part, if Game 7 touches it, I'm gonna, be looped in or touch it, at some point too. And so over the summer, all of the New York stops, the House of Hoops team, we have a truck that we had at all the stops, and I basically managed that footprint and made sure everything there, was what it was supposed to be. You know what I mean?
right.
And we, created content in New York, which I also manage. So it's a I feel like for a lot of people, it's like maybe not that big of a deal. Like House of Hoops isn't a crazy brand, but for me, it's the biggest. It's not bigger than Dyckman necessarily, but it's one of the biggest things I've ever done on my own. I think like kind of managing this social media page and really like kind of giving it a real voice. I didn't really know if I could do that outside of Dyckman. I never really tried because even my own Instagrams and social media pages they're light. I don't really go too hard with programming and like planning content because I do it other places, so I don't want to be so curated on my own pages. And so I'm really enjoying the work over there. You know what I mean? And I think I like working at Game 7. I think we touch some like really cool events, but I think on the basketball side, it's like there's not many things happening. I think, and I might be a little arrogant to say this, but there's not many things happening in the Northeast on the north side, east coast, north east coast of the country, in basketball. That
You
game
can just say
seven.
United States. You can just say United States if you want.
You know what I mean? So I feel like for me, like that's a place I want to be because I always felt like I want to. I'm a person in basketball, like not street ball. That's not how I ever seen it. It's like that's my where I've started, but I'm that girl in basketball, and so I think it allows me to just kind of expand my reach a little bit, do what I do at Dyckman, but in within a different within different boundaries. You know what I mean? Like, and just develop my skills. Like working in agency life is not for the weak, and working in an agency, you really do get to learn a lot in a short amount of time. And I'm really grateful to Justin and the whole Game 17 for that, and just kind of like teaching me and guiding me because I think before I was at Game 7, I was working in like government relations. Um, which I that was really impactful work and I enjoyed it, but I was like, this is not what I've been like called to do, you know.
Right, right.
Um, and so yeah,
Everybody doesn't get a chance to really tap into their calling. So, what I'm saying, just the fact that you had the opportunity and you went for it. And what I'm saying, let the chips fall where they may. The rest is history. But you guys are a legendary tournament. And as of late, maybe the last few years, post pandemic, there's been a lot of tournaments popping up. Some with bag with prizes for the winners and TVs and multiple thousands of dollars. Um, but you guys have always remained kind of steadfast to what you guys do.
hmm
How do you feel like the landscape is changing in terms of New York City street ball, and how do you plan to kind of maintain that foot on everybody's neck that you've had for the last 30 some odd years?
yeah, that's a good question. Um,
Yeah, we do this, man. We do this.
I think the landscape is changing. Obviously, it's like tournaments everywhere. It's basketball tournaments everywhere, and it's no shade to everybody. Like I think that's a good thing. You know what I mean? Like I don't. I think honestly, I think you've been around for a long time. You've seen when that park has been gotten to a place where people are climbing the
I've
gates
been
to
one
get
of
in,
them. I've
and a lot of that is because there's not enough happening. You know what I mean? So I think one, the landscape is changing in a way where like on any given night you can be at one of 6 tournaments, which I think is a lovely thing. I think that's a big thing for community basketball, right? Like that. I think that's really huge, right? Um, I think to answer your second question, we are like they're again arrogant Naya.
you just
I think it. I when people say things like that to me, I'm always like, we've been doing this consecutively, like 30 years consecutively. Like the only times we haven't had tournaments was pandemic summer. But outside of that, it's like every summer you get the same product from us for real. And I think that people think that's an easy thing to do. Like the only other tournament in the city, I'm gonna start trouble. There's a couple tournaments maybe in the city who can have that conversation with us. But there's not a lot of them because a lot of people can't show up the same way every summer. Dyckman basketball, let me tell y'all, let's just go back real quick. There was a time we was in that bitch walking around in polos, okay? Professionalism. We the whole like it's always been a branded tournament. It's always been had the branding. It's always had banners, but you also are gonna get the branding you expect. You're gonna get the t-shirts, the towels, the courtside seating, the step and repeats. Like the reason that we're different is that we're a professional basketball tournament. Like I know that people don't see it that way because it's happening out of a park. Trust me, we had the funding for a gym. That's where we would be. We had the funding for an arena. That's where we would be. But I think the difference that just it with sets us apart from all the tournaments is that night after night you're gonna get the same level of professionalism in terms of like branding and footprint, but also in terms of like the people who are working there with us, and how they talk about the tournament and how they're treated at that tournament, and the things they get and learn from that and from our tournament. You know what I mean? Like, I think me being younger and not in the game as long as Kenny, I feel like there's times when I've panicked and been like, yo, we need to like try to start doing this because I know at Gersh they're doing that. And it's like, like we don't that doesn't make sense. Like we don't want that crowd because then that changes what we do. But I think like, one of the things that makes us really different is that you're really gonna walk in that park and get a professional feel. And I know that's a real thing is because when we host brands and they sitting on the court and they get a full like concession. You get concessions at Dyckman. Like you get concessions, you get like regular soda and stuff, or you get a nutcracker. Like it's just a different place. And I'm not saying at other tournaments you can't, but I think it's just the way that it happens at Dyckman, right? Like at other tournaments, any tournament I go to, they always show me love, but I also realize like, we all do this to make money, right? At Dyckman, we definitely do it to make money, but like if we got 20 seats in there of people that we think like are important and we're trying to impress, everybody in there eating. Then we'll figure out the bill later, you know what I mean? Like we run this like a real basketball tournament. This is like a professional place to be, and I don't know. I just think like as long as we stay right there, as long as we keep doing what we're doing, I think we're gonna be okay. Like, and that's not to say that we can't pivot a little, like accommodate Jen. Different things. So I think like to like they're engaged.
Now,
let me ask somebody my shrimp.
Right.
On the thing with the sauces and the sides, like.
Nah, that was crazy.
You have everything you need. You never you don't want to. I think it's also just how we build it out, right? Like I think people think like, oh, Nike came in and did that for us. No, we sat somewhere and just this is what we want our project. What is it going to cost? And we invested the money for that. Period. And that's why you get to build out. You get every summer. You see bleachers there, and then you see bleachers go away. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of coming straight from our brain and our thoughts and our hard work and our energy. And again, back to Jordan and respect to Nike sponsoring us. But I think like we gotta have that initiative and the ideas. We're not like waiting for somebody to come in and do that for us. And I think because we've done that, we've been able to partner with people in a way where they're partner. We amplify the partnership, right? And maybe I'm a little biased, but I think again that's why when you have things like New York at Dyckman Basketball, it's such a hit because they know we were gonna run the park like this anyway. So they just really inserting themselves in a day that was gonna be packed regardless. Now they just amplifying it. Same thing with any events that's ever happened at Dyckman. It's just like what you're gonna get. You know what I mean? And I think at a lot of other tournaments, they don't have the luxury of like showing up that consistently. And I think that takes years of like working. And I think and that's really no shade, but like definitely there are other tournaments that do it. I would definitely say like Gersh is one of them. Like going to Gersh, like you're gonna get a similar experience. It's just the Brooklyn way. You know what I mean?
Right. Now that's a fact. I mean, I think that, and this is just my opinion, but I think that Dyckman, it really is the culture of Dyckman that kind of sells it because, and let me ask you this, which is part of the culture, is the fact that the cannabis or the weed or whatever you want to call it, right?
Don't call it cannabis on here. Cannabis is bad. You would never say that in the park.
Cannabis.
The weed.
Nah, the Zaza, whatever you want to call it, man. For some time, and I've spoken to a couple of people about it, and this is like pre
legalization,
being legal. Do you feel like that was an important aspect of bringing a crowd, or and partly not even just the weed, just the culture, the batalitos, the shish kebabs,
It's
everything else,
about
and
stability. Like, there's people who walk in that park, dap Kenny up, give him a whole hug. Kenny has no clue who those people are. Sorry to call Kenny out like that. You know what I mean? But it's something that I've learned from him. Is like, you got to make everybody feel at home here. I think it's also what keeps us safe most of the time. For the most part at Dyckman, we and knocking on wood for our future years, but for the most part we go without incident because we really try to treat everybody like family. So they feel like if you do something to somebody in here, you ruin it for everybody. You really ruin it for us. Like, if when you got a certain level of respect for people, you really try to respect their stuff too. And so we try to respect everybody that comes in there for those reasons. And I think, like, we try, there are obviously people who come, who are more special guests, who get a little more VIP treatment. But for the most part, on any given day, anybody can be courtside. You know what I mean? Like, and we try to keep it that way so that we don't ever want to feel too disconnected from the community. Like,
right,
most of the people that come to that park, I'm gonna know their names for the most part. And when we get to a place where we stop knowing their names, like, we need to start. We stop and we start again. We got to make sure we know the people coming in our park. We want it to be that a certain level of respect, so that people can respect our things. It's like there is a real finesse to doing community work, and I think, like, the reason a lot of other tournaments don't work is that you think you can walk into anywhere and do a tournament.
right,
You can't, because if you don't have no connection with that community, you don't know what makes sense for this space and this location. And I think the way that we've moved just across the city, the way we've looped people into to either money making opportunities or just opportunities in general, Clash being one of them,
shout out
we
to
always treat everyone like family. We treat everybody, everybody deserves to eat. We don't, and I don't, regardless of what anyone might say, definitely behind our backs because they'd never say it directly to us. But there's been times where we've looped all the tournaments into opportunities that have made them not only money but amplified
the
what
club.
they do. You know what I mean? Because it benefits us. If we can get some relief from the park always being packed and being at 20, we can really play the games we want to play. That means we got to help other tournaments thrive. You know what I mean? I
Right,
know, I already know we're the best tournament in the city. I don't have to keep proving that every year.
right. What
And
does
I
it
think what
feel
makes us
like?
the best tournament in the city
What
is
does
helping other
what
tournaments.
does it feel like to be at your venue and to look up and see people, on the roofs, or the project building, watching from 20 flights up, people hanging off of trees and climbing gates, trying to sneak in and whatnot. How does that make you feel as a person that
Every time
contributes
is
that?
surreal. It's unimaginable. It's surreal every time. Every time. Like, I think for me, I'm always like, I can't believe we do this. This is what we do. Like, if you've ever gotten a post game moment with Kenny or anybody on the team after a really good night, like a championship night, we're always elated
Right,
because it's really like, one, that we did that without incident. Like, people act like you can't have times in the hood where things are crowded and nothing bad happens, and we've been doing that really 30 years for
right.
real. So we
Only,
always are elated there.
there was only one time at Dyckman that I remember, uh,
Just really, I,
and it
I
was
feel like in
in,
my memory, immediate memory, I could think of maybe three times tops
right.
in all of the years that I've been working there. Um, that's one, and I think also it's just kind of like gratitude, because very much like people can decide like we never going back to that park again. We gonna fuck with this part. You know what I mean? Like, I think even this summer I was a little like thrown off by how like late we started and like things weren't going our way.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I look up and there's like a Queen of Harlem tournament. There's three different tournaments happening in the Bronx, and a lot of people were going there. But opening day and every day after that, we were pretty much the same story, same song. You know what I mean? At Dyckman, and that just showed like how locked in we are with the community. And I was just like, yeah, this is important. You know what I mean? Like, and so what I, kind of had to realize is like, we need all these tournaments to thrive so we
Right,
can
right,
all
right.
thrive together. And again, like, seeing, people just kind of fiend to get into something that we created, or that we are doing, it's humbling, right? Like, I'm thankful for stuff like that. I feel we always want things like that, and I feel like, I'm always my sole purpose and sole job at Dyckman is like, how do we keep doing that 20
Right.
years from now, 30 years from now, if everything does go virtual, how do we do that? You know what I mean? Like, and that's just always where my head is. Unfortunately for me, I'm always thinking about the next thing. So
Now, salute to everybody that's doing their thing. Queen of Harlem tournament was fire.
very much so.
Kingdom is something that's trying to make his way back as well. So, like you said, everybody needs to be thriving. Everybody needs to be thriving. I think that you guys are the catalyst for that. You know what I'm saying? And like you said, you never you know what you're gonna get from Dyckman. You know you're gonna get a top notch product and some great games. And like you guys mentioned in your mantra, you just never know who's gonna pop up, right? You don't know who's gonna pull up the Dyckman.
Exactly. Where else would you rather be?
But yeah, with respect to your time and stuff like that, we're not gonna take too much more time up. But I do want to ask, finally, what message or experience do you hope that visitors and participants alike can take away from their time visiting Dyckman Basketball, the summer league?
Honestly, I know people think I'd be joking when I say this stuff, but I feel like summer don't really start till we do. And I feel like you really got the thing I want you to take away from Dyckman Basketball is like, you cannot experience New York City in the summer without experiencing like Dyckman Basketball. And that's a big deal. The city's a big place. New York City is, known for a lot of things, and I'm just happy that we're one of the things in it that people are known for. But I think also something to take away from Dyckman, outside of all of the lights, glitz, and the glam and all of that, is like community for real. Because I think there are people who've been really coming there since I was a kid, who's watched me grow up. There are kids now, like there are kids like going to college and things now that I watched grow up. When I was 14, I was just like learning to do the books. And they were like, in the biddy league or whatever, and now they're like, top kids or whatever. And I think like community over everything. Community really over everything. I think like, because at the end of the day, even when it's not summer basketball and it's just like, regular basketball season and all of that stuff, like you need people to connect with and people who are going to put you on. And Dyckman's definitely a place you're going to come and do that. And I think you would be hard pressed to find people who have worked with us and not say that they've, who would not tell you they haven't been put on from things they've done at Dyckman, or haven't been introduced or to the to places and people and things that they wanted to be at and wanted to see. I think sometimes it's a little rough trying to get in with us because it's like, why wouldn't you want to get in with us? You know what I mean? So we need to vet everyone.
Right.
But I think once you do, you really do see like, yeah, we share here. You know what I mean? Like, and I think we're family for real. All of the people on our team, like, absolutely.
And I feel like a cousin or something. One of those, one of them third cousins that come to the barbecue and get a plate
Exactly.
and
That's
welcome
how,
with
that's how
open arms. No, but definitely, again, Naya, I want to send my appreciation to you. Also, my kudos to you for being in this industry. What I'm saying, as a black woman, we don't have that representation um, of that strong black woman making those power moves that you're doing. So again, all things hoops, we salute you, everything that you've done thus far, everything that you're about to accomplish in the future. 2024, right around the corner. And I know that you guys are primed to make some great things happen. And I know that you're probably going to be at the forefront of that. So I'm excited to see what the future holds. And again, being respectful of your time, I want to appreciate you for coming on Legends Talk, and you have been anointed
Thank you.
a legend. You are a legend now.
I appreciate that, and I also want to say thank you to you and like all the work you just kind of do in the media space. I feel like again, more work that's thankless, right? Like people expect you to come out to their games and report back on them, or get all this footage or whatever. And I just want to say thank you for always coming to Dyckman and supporting what we do there, and like just showing up. I feel like that's half the battle for a lot of people. So. Thank you for having me on here. Thank you for being a supporter of Dyckman and supporting, even just me and all the things that I'm doing. And I, love the support. So let me know, what else I can support of yours. But
No
thank you for
doubt.
having me on.
No doubt.
We've
I
definitely
appreciate
been chatting for an hour, so I'll let
it.
everybody know. Thank
Real
y'all for coming in if
fun
you're watching.
fact. Fun fact, right quick. I also went to Bertram, so that's probably where. That's
For
probably
real?
where we clicked. Yeah, I'm a little older than you are, so
Yeah, you are. So we
just a
didn't go
little.
together, but yeah, I did. I went to Bertram. Rest in peace.
What house were you? What house?
I
You don't even
I
know the
don't remember law.
terminology.
I was in law or something, government, law and government, GE. I don't remember. I can't. Let me not lie.
Yeah, something like that. That
Yeah,
sounds
but by the time I got there, that's all of that was falling apart.
right.
But
No,
yeah,
but
I
yeah,
didn't
I
know
went there for 2 years. I went there for 2 years, and then I went to prep school in Connecticut after that. So, but
that. Okay.
I got love for Bertram, and I got my start there. So, salute.
So technically, I got my start there too, with that girls team, and that's why I kind of have like I don't talk about it too often because women, period, are just not respected. But I feel like that's really where I started in basketball is with women's basketball at Mary Bertram, and those girls were at the time undefeated,
Yeah,
had not lost a championship game, and maybe at the time I think they went 13 years straight, but at the time I was like it was like year 10.
yeah. They probably still haven't lost.
No, they have. I think it's what was it, South Shore now or
Who
wherever?
was there with you? Grzinski was there when you were there.
Yeah, he was.
Ed?
Yep,
Yeah,
yep.
he was my gym teacher.
That's insane.
Yeah,
That's insane. Yeah, he was the coach for as long as I was there. He's not there anymore though.
yeah. I heard
I
he
think
left.
yeah. So you know,
Yeah,
shout out.
I'm gonna throw him up on a post, man. He needs to be recognized.
Yeah, you
But
should. You should
but
tap into him
Nate,
and see where he is.
much love to you. I
Thank you so
appreciate
much,
you,
Kyle.
and we'll be in touch. We'll be in touch soon.
Yes, we will. Thank you.
All right, Nate. Peace. That was Naya Stevens, y'all, media director of Dyckman Basketball. And anybody, what I'm saying, who's anybody, I suggest you, if you haven't been to Dyckman, the next time you're in New York City, make sure you go to a Dyckman game and tell them all things Hoop sent you. Peace. We out.